Greetings and welcome, I'm Ash, and this is my review of Shadwen, a stealth action game from Frozenbyte, the creators of the Trine series, and while it doesn't feature the same sort of whimsical art style, it does manage to perform a miracle of its own, and by that I mean somehow making an entire game based around an escort quest an actually enjoyable experience. Throughout all 15 levels, you'll be accompanied by a poor peasant girl named Lily that you brought along because, reasons. And while she isn't able to pull off the same combat and grappling hook maneuvers as you are, she is quite adept at sneaking around. So her presence is never an annoyance, but rather an extra element to the stealth-based puzzle Shadwen presents you with. The first question everyone should ask when it comes to stealth games is how good are the controls, and does your character attempt to do some sort of a river dance if you move too quickly from cover to cover? The answer to that is thankfully no, though I would love to see Shadwen river dance with that constantly vacant expression on her face. Your controls are smooth and for the most part completely responsive, although this does come at the cost of the occasionally funny twitch that happens when you do too many acrobatic movements in a small enclosed area, as the game gives precedence to you over reality, as it should, because reality tends to get bogged down with such silly things as gravity or physics. Your best bet at navigating the environment in secrecy, besides simply walking around on foot and hiding behind barrels, is through the use of your seemingly magical grappling hook that never makes any noise or announces your presence, even though the couple of meters of rope should clearly be visible to anyone not stricken with sudden blindness. Silliness aside, it is an excellent tool that works perfectly with stealth-focused gameplay as it allows you to both survey your environment and to leapfrog from hideout to hideout while leaving the guards none the wiser. Its use extends far beyond simple Spider-Man impersonations, however, as the grappling hook allows you to manipulate the environment in order to distract guards, create paths, or just knock down an entire wine closet on some unsuspecting fool's head. Since you will need to constantly escort Lily from one shadowy area to another, this sort of object manipulation will become one of your mainstay tactics, as there is nothing better than a crate suddenly moving in a faraway corner to make all of the guards panic about the presence of dark and malicious spirits in the area. Physics in a stealth game don't really sound like a big deal, but if I've learned anything with Shadwen is that they make for a highly engaging gameplay experience, since you don't have to rely on preset cover pieces to plan your routes, you can instead create your own. Naturally, there are limitations, and you can't just push a box past a guard without them becoming suspicious about any snakes crawling about, but when it comes to creating impromptu cover in order to hide from a soldier that may have spotted the tail end of your coat, it comes in rather handy. While I love the general idea of both having physics and the grappling hook, there are some issues that occur when the two of those systems interact. The biggest and most game-changing one is that your grappling hook always extends to its maximum length whenever you use it, which combined with the swinging motion that comes from realistic physics, means you will frequently recreate the iconic George of the Jungle scene, but with the pointy end of a guardsman's crossbow instead of a tree to welcome you. As you might expect, especially since a grappling hook is involved, Shadwen is mostly about supporting Lily and ensuring she makes it across each level undetected, either through pure stealth or by murdering everyone in sight, which unsurprisingly doesn't resonate well with your overly optimistic companion. Since I'm not a complete monster, and since the guards are actually likable and often hilarious, I opted to go for the entire game without killing a single person, a feat that should have been much harder than it really was. Most of this comes down to the fact that the levels are designed as a collection of fairly linear arenas that connect to each other via corridors, so even though you might have a couple of different paths you can take in each area, they are all rather obvious to anyone that has even a modicum of experience with the stealth genre. The second reason I found Shadwen a bit too easy is the fact that Lily, the poor and undernourished peasant girl, is the true master of stealth and subterfuge, capable of finding the exact millisecond the guards have their back turned in order to sneak past even the most formidable barricades. This was a design concession that had to be made in order to keep Shadwen's long escort quest actually entertaining, but it does somewhat cheapen the puzzle aspects of each mission when a little girl is able to solve them without you doing anything. The third and final way Shadwen makes things approachable for new players is by allowing you to freeze time when you're standing still, in order to give you a chance to survey the environment and plan ahead, as well as rewind to any previous point in time in order to maybe try a different approach. It is a great idea, and it certainly made my failures a lot easier to stomach, but it does also mean that Shadwen can be completed rather quickly despite having a large selection of equally large levels. I would have preferred it if the rewind system had a certain amount of juice after which it would stop working for the duration of the mission, because you can currently keep bashing your head against the wall until it inevitably cracks, instead of being forced to actually find a proper solution. Don't consider any of this a negative remark for Shadwen, however, as not every game needs to be tailored to the hardest of the hardcore, but it is well worth mentioning that those looking for a Hitman-esque style of gameplay that revolves around meticulous planning, open-ended levels, and perfect execution will not find their place here. To me, Shadwen feels like an introductory game for the stealth genre, as it's difficult enough to get your brain gears turning, but never so frustrating that you will consider purging it from your PC. Speaking of the Hitman series, Shadwen also features a whole bunch of gadgets, gizmos, and bombs you can use to turn the tides against the often overwhelming number of guards. Unfortunately, most of them are practically useless, as they either accomplish things you can do yourself without much trouble, or create so much noise that every guard within your local solar system will be put in the alert state, making any sort of sneaking nearly impossible. Even for a purely stealth-oriented character, the gadgets that create distractions are never as effective as just using a grappling hook to shuffle a couple of boxes. Releasing a constantly rolling noise bomb will indeed get every guard's attention, but the bomb's rolling pattern is erratic, so it often goes to complete waste, whereas simply using your trusty grappling hook guarantees you can get the exact 2 guards away from their posts for a couple of seconds, thus allowing Lily to pass by unnoticed. While the overall difficulty may have been a bit too low for me given my long-lasting love for stealth games, there is one shining beacon of hope on the horizon, and it comes in the form of mod support and a fully featured map editor. Even though I've barely seen it advertised, this is quite possibly the most exciting feature of Shadwen, given that all of the campaign maps are featured within it. So if you feel like the game is too easy, you have the option to change it. I haven't spent too much time fiddling with it, mostly because every game in existence has decided to set their release date for the same 2-week period, but with a well-done tutorial and seemingly powerful tools, this could be an excellent platform for some intriguing new mods and levels to appear, especially since it all links to the Steam Workshop. Here's to hoping someone less lazy than me ends up taking the time to slightly rebalance Shadwen with a more purist approach in mind. Shadwen is occasionally clunky and probably too easy for anyone well versed in the stealth genre, but I can't deny its charms or the fact that I managed to binge through the entire game in 2 sittings, not because I forced myself to do so, but rather because I had a great deal of fun in the process. If you're looking for a hardcore stealth game in the vein of the Hitman series, you will not find it here. But if you're new to the genre, or simply want a well-polished sneak and peek from a variety of medieval locations, then by all means give Shadwen a try. It is certainly a joy to play. Thank you guys for listening, and if you enjoyed this, or even if you didn't, please do let me know. And if you would like to see more, you can either subscribe here, or you can check out the website link down below. That one tends to be updated a lot more frequently. With all of that said, I hope you guys have a nice day, and I will see you soon. See ya!